Apparently, major changes to the Eurovision Song Contest 23 voting system have been announced, and they are significant from what I'm hearing. So let's take a look at them together right now. Let's talk Eurovision. Sup? You fools, Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel. Hope you're having a good week so far. Well, I just came back from a cruise yesterday, and apparently everything happened this morning because the EBU put forward an announcement this morning. And of course, since I live in California, I was dead asleep, but I'm going to look at that with you right here, right now. Major voting changes. Let's take a look at them. Apparently there are three major categories. So, before we do that, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on the news with Eurovision. And if you like this video, that helps with the algorithm as well. So, this is what the EBU put forward. The first one is power to the people. Only viewers' votes decide the qualifying countries from semifinals. Wow, okay. Wait, what? Okay, so keep going on. Juries still vote in the grand final. Juries' votes will be combined with viewer votes to decide the final results. And going global, viewers in non-participating countries will be able to vote online. What? So, yes, those are some very, very important updates. And I have a lot of thoughts. Let's see what else they have to say. Next year, the countries that qualify from the semifinals will be decided solely based on the votes cast by you, the viewers, rather than a combination of a jury and public vote, as it has been the case since 2009. That's not accurate. Anyways, the professional music industry juries will remain for the grand final, but complete control from who gets there from the semis has been handed over to the viewing public. And for the first time ever, viewers from non-participating countries will be able to vote for their favorite songs too. Hi, America! Now, Martin Österdahl, the Eurovision Song Contest executive supervisor, said of the changes, let's read through that. Throughout its 67-year history, the Eurovision Song Contest has constantly evolved to remain relevant and exciting. These changes acknowledge the immense popularity of the show by giving more power to the audience of the world's largest live music event. In 23 only, Eurovision Song Contest viewers will decide which countries make it to the grand final, and reflecting the global impact of the event, everyone watching the show wherever they live in the world can cast their votes for their favorite songs. But also involving juries of music professionals in deciding the final results, all the songs in the grand final can be assessed on the broadcast possible criteria. We can also maintain the tradition of traveling around Europe and Australia to collect points and ensure a thrilling voting sequence, with the winner only revealed at the very end of the show. So, those watching in the rest of the world will be able to vote via a secure online platform using a credit card from their country, so you have to pay. And their votes, once added together, will be converted into points that will have the same weight as one participating country in both semifinals and the grand final. Audiences in all participating countries will still be able to vote by SMS, phone, or via the Eurovision Song Contest app. Hot diddly-do. Okay, so that's a big update, and I have plenty of thoughts. Let's start with the good. I do like the idea of going global. Now, I understand you cannot have all these countries from around the world take part. You cannot have Japan, Canada, US, Brazil all take part in the contest, but the fact that they get their own separate set of votes, that is great. I think that is a very reasonable solution, since, as pointed out, it's been going global and has a lot of interest, and going to bring more interest when people know they can get involved. So that in itself, I think, is a great, good change. Now, I'm curious to see if the televoters can be included. Is there going to be a rest of the world jury as well? Because I would think, at least in the grand final, the votes from the juries need to be equal to the votes from the televote. So it seems as the televote is getting a few additional points there. I don't know how that's going to work. But on paper, I do like the idea of a global televote. I think that is a very good solution in this new international environment that we live in. The world has gotten smaller since the World Wide Web became a thing. I know it's been a while, but no, I think that is not necessarily a bad thing. I do like the idea, and you don't take away from the integrity of the contest by having people vote rather than taking part. Do you know what I mean? Now let's go to the bigger news in my view is the juries. The juries are not voting in the semis and only in the grand final. So that is a change that confuses me, because we all know why the juries were introduced, right? It was to kind of counterbalance the diaspora vote, as well as giving more less catchy, like in-your-face songs a fair shot at this as well, to go far. Now that you're removing that layer from the semis, what is going to happen? And why then bother with the juries in the grand final? You either have it everywhere or you don't have it anywhere. We had it in 2009 where we only had juries in the grand final as well, and the semis were decided by the televoters. But that's the whole idea. Like, why? Let me gather my thoughts here. I came unprepared into this video, so let me explain it this way. There are certain countries, and I'm gonna mention them. That is not the fault of the individuals living in that country, so don't get upset when your country name comes up in my perspective, but there are certain countries that will always have such a significant advantage in the televote that they are almost always guaranteed a spot in the finals just based on that. Some of them you can point out is Lithuania, Serbia, and yes, those countries often get big 10 to 12 pointers from random countries. In Lithuania's case, plenty of votes from Ireland, the UK, or yes, it has to come down to who ends up in your semi, but they have such a large spread out votes that they almost always end up in the top 10 in the televote in the semis. And the same can be said about Serbia. Serbia gets a lot of 12 pointers from other countries, even not just the neighboring countries, but like Austria, Switzerland, the certain countries in the southwest of the continent. So there are these in my view, unfair advantages that those countries have. So at least that was a little bit counterbalanced with the juries. Now there is free for all, and it encourages one thing that has happened in the past, and that I'm worried is going to be become a bigger issue now going forward in the semis, and that is buying votes. And by that I mean there are certain countries, I'm going to leave it at that in the past have bought cards, SIM cards in other countries to bring up their votes in that particular semi or grand final. And by not having that balancing act from the juries, that concerns me. That concerns me significantly, because now there is a free-for-all. Now, we don't have Turkey in the running for 10 years now, but they would benefit from this rule change as well. So maybe they wanted to bring them back now. Light bulb. Do they want to get Turkey back? Oh no. But in all seriousness, so that is basically how I feel about it. Now, granted, I'm not saying the jury votes are perfect, because clearly, especially in 22, we saw the major flaw. But then rather throwing the baby out with the bathwater, you want to fix it. You want to improve it, make it more bulletproof, rather than just completely getting rid of it. So the fact that we have no juries in the semis, but have them involved in the grand final, seems odd to me. And especially knowing that there are some really good songs that wouldn't have made it to the grand final if it wasn't for the juries. Jeepers. So yeah, that is a very big change, and I do think I don't appreciate that. I don't like it. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm sure some of you think it's a good idea. I know that there are some people out there who want to get rid of the juries completely, and I've lived through the non-jury era of the 2000s for the most part, and it was a disaster. So I do not I do not want to go back to it. Now, you can make the case that in more often than not, the juries and the televoters agree minus one or two songs. And that may be accurate. Nevertheless, those one or two songs are significant because oftentimes those are the countries that get this very strong head start from the televote by default, just for the juries to kind of balance it out a little bit. So, yes, I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Just the fact that they are announcing it, we need change. Change is good. All well and good. But put a reason behind your change. Is it because of the jury debacle of 22? Is it because of Azerbaijan getting 0 points from the televoters and then ending up qualifying anyways because of the juries? What is the reason? I understand you don't want to call out anyone, but at least don't just make an announcement and be the least transparent organization in the world. So that is my thinking. So now I'm sure it'll just be implemented, people accept it, and life goes on. But yeah, me personally, I don't like this very broad, let's just change it last minute. Just change it now and see how it goes, because one thing we've all learned, changes are here to stay. The EBU doesn't implement something just to change it back. So then it just seems a little hypocritical for me to have it in the semis and not in the grand final. Then you may have to get rid of it completely, actually. But you know what? I don't think they want to do that, because the fun part of the voting, right? You get the jury votes in, and then it gets really exciting until the very last minute before we find out who has won the contest. If we're just going to reveal the televoters, it's going to be just like the old days, 2015 and before, right? So, yes, of course, having the juries in the grand final adds to the excitement, because the votes, the way they come in, is way more exciting. And in the semis, you don't need that. So it really seems to be more about how to structure the show and make it entertainment rather than make it fair. And that is just another step into this. This is a show, not a competition. And I'm more of the, I've been watching the contest now for over 20 years. I'm more of the old school thinking here that the competition is very, very important. I don't think you have to sacrifice the quality of the contest in order to make changes. And by quality, I mean like the integrity and the fairness. The running order, the backup vocals, whatever you may think. They have so many changes that really just focus on how can we make it a great show for the people watching it, and in the process make it less fair for the participating countries and the actual results. And I think this is just another step into that direction, because it seems as now certain countries have a major advantage of qualifying, and that will hurt others. So I'm curious to find out how other broadcasters will react to it. But yeah, hot damn. That is a very interesting change. We'll see how that'll pan out, and keep in mind, that is just my opinion, and we have to wait and see how it'll pan out. Those are just my first few thoughts. How do you feel about it? How was your first thought process when you read the news or heard it right now in this video? Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. I need to have a little bit more coffee because, it's still early here. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.